Hey there dissectors, and to any new visitors to my channel, welcome. Halloween is just around the corner, and what better way to celebrate the season than a true tale of witches and things that go bump in the night. There is a home in St Osyth, Essex, about 83 miles east of London, that has a terrible history attached to it. It was once a witch's prison, now nicknamed The Cage. People never stay in the home for long, as there are reports of physical attacks, dark spirits, one even appearing as a satanic-looking goat, and blood spatters that mysteriously appear. So what is the dark history of this property, and what horrors have transpired over the years, making many believe that The Cage is one of, if not the, most haunted house in England? During the witch trials in this area in 1582, 14 women are said to have been accused of witchcraft-related crimes, and of these, 3 were executed. One of the accused was a woman named Ursula Kemp. She was a known healer who, in exchange for food or a few coins, could cure any ailment, even place a curse on a troublesome person. But alas, in 1582, things took a dark turn for Ursula when a neighbour named Grace Thurlow came to her asking for help to cure her child. Ursula recited a spell saying, "A good child, how thou art loaden," 3 times, which is said to have cured the young boy. But then a bitter argument broke out between the women, as the mother either couldn't or wouldn't pay for the services received. Not long after this, the woman's youngest child, a newborn baby, fell from its crib, breaking its neck. Enraged, the mother accused Kemp of cursing the child with witchcraft, causing Kemp to be arrested and taken to the witches' jail. While being tortured, Kemp tried to give the judges what they wanted: more names of witches, and she did this thinking it would free her. In return, the accused ladies were arrested and threw accusations at other people. It was a real domino effect used across all of England, resulting in 112 people being executed in the 1640s alone. But of this number, a staggering 82 were sentenced to death in Essex. Vanessa Mitchell had grown up in the village and would often walk by the cage, feeling drawn to the quaint property. Mitchell knew of the history of the place, that witches had been kept here, and that the alleyway at the back of the house was called Coffin Alley, as this was where the bodies of the dead would be dragged from the jail to their place of burial. She was also aware of the many rumours that circulated around the home. These included tenants breaking their leases and running away, one couple claiming that books would fly off the bookcase, and more recently, how a man had hung himself inside the property. Now, Vanessa had lived in a household that was very sceptical of the paranormal, believing it to be complete nonsense. She'd grown up in a very old property that had floors that groaned in the night, and abandoned servants' quarters and priest holes used long ago as a way for monks to escape capture. Vanessa also remembered hearing screams that rang out in the night, but these were not evil entities, but the foster children that her mother took care of, who were suffering from addiction issues caused by their birth mothers. So basically, everything had an explanation. Excited to start a new life in the area after moving away for a few years, Vanessa moved into the property along with her roommate Nicole Kirtley in mid-2005. Nicole herself had heard the rumours of the house being haunted, as she worked in the pub next door called the King's Arms. She said, "There was one family that lived there while I worked in the pub, and the son kept setting fire to his bedroom. Someone said it was because he was possessed." On the day the young women moved into their new home, the spirits made their first move. You see, as Nicole was outside unloading her belongings, Vanessa decided to make tea for them both. But at that moment, she heard footsteps approaching her from behind. She turned around expecting to see her friend, but instead was met with a black fog crawling through an open door. Vanessa was shocked and broke out into a cold sweat, which seems a reasonable response if you ask me. When she looked out of the window and into Coffin Alley, her friend was still outside, and due to Nicole recovering from cancer, decided to keep the incident to herself. There were many old features at the property, from the original fireplace, which contained a large hook thought to have been used for chaining up prisoners, to the old wooden cage door. While cleaning up the house, old photographs and documents were discovered. Vanessa said, "I was able to get my hands on the house deed records that go back many generations. I discovered that the house had changed hands on average every 3.5 years since it was built, with the exception of 2 cases. One example being a man who purchased the property for £150 and sold it only a matter of weeks later for just £100. Amongst the records found in her kitchen, She also discovered the death certificate for the poor man who'd hung himself at the property 6 months earlier. But it got worse. While cleaning, an old rug was lifted up and thousands of maggots were discovered festering there. The ladies struggled to get the house warm too, as no matter the weather outside, the property was freezing. There were also strange odours like baking bread, pipe smoke, and a smell so disgusting it made Vanessa feel sick. One day, the friends heard 3 knocks on their front door. As they opened the door, they found a young boy called Freddie Young, who was 12 at the time, standing there. He told them that he was sorry for disturbing them, but his grandmother was a white witch and told him never to walk past the cage without showing the witch's spirits trapped inside respect. The young boy spoke about living with his grandparents and how they too had spirits haunting the old bakery they owned. Apparently, many years ago, a fire had burnt the place down, and the baker's 3 daughters who died still haunt his home. Around this time, both ladies started to see strange lights floating around the property, as well as items disappearing and reappearing in strange places. Nicole described hearing her bedroom door rattling at night as if something or someone was trying to get into her room. Even though the women had experienced a bit of drama at their home, they still felt optimistic for their future there. By the October of 2005, they decided to throw a Halloween party where they would dress up as witches, of all things. But as they applied their lipstick on the night of the party, a huge commotion broke out downstairs. As they explored where the noise came from, both ladies felt the same thing. They were not alone in the cage. After the party, things changed inside the home. Fridge magnets would fly across the kitchen. The television's volume would go up and then down on its own. A soda can slid across the surface of a table, and an old chain, believed to date back to the days of the witch's prison, started to swing violently back and forth each night, with the doors slamming shut. Desperate for help, Vanessa spoke to a local vicar, asking him to bless the house. But as the vicar walked around the property, dressed in his robes and carrying holy water, he confided in Vanessa. "I'm going to tell you this. I've been in lots of parishes, but never since I've come to the parish of St. Osyth have I had so many people coming to me in private and coming to me in church saying, I need you to come to bless the house. I've got a haunted house. I can tell you of at least 4 houses up this road I've been to." Sadly, it seems that the blessing didn't do any good, as when they got to the upstairs bathroom, both bathtub faucets had water pouring from them. The vicar left saying that he felt something was not right with the house, that he could feel it. Then Vanessa became really terrified. Every night she began sleepwalking, waking up at the spot where their past resident had hanged himself. She also started to hear a voice goading her to end her life over and over again inside her head. Is this what happened to the previous tenant? When Nicole moved out, Vanessa decided to have 2 friends over, a couple named Kirsty and Neil Williams. Neil was serving in the British Army at the time and so was used to witnessing certain things. But can you imagine his shock when he went inside the home and found around 30 droplets of blood splattered on the floor, and no one had any idea how they got there. Her friends became anxious at witnessing this, when suddenly Vanessa was bitten on her ear. After discovering she was pregnant, Vanessa knew she had to sell the home, as this was not a place to raise a child. One real estate agent listed the property on Facebook and wrote, "With a reputation attracting TV crews from around the world, this unique 2-bedroom cottage comes available with many resident ghosts." And they weren't kidding. Eventually, Vanessa managed to sell her home, but it took around 12 years to do so, as, let's face it, not many people can cope with the horrors that reside inside the cage. I hope you enjoyed the history and hauntings of this fascinating place as much as I did, and I'd love to hear your thoughts or experiences in the comments below. The horrors that seem to be endured inside this home are something else, and I can only hope that the new owners are having a little more luck with the resident spirits. I hope you all have a wonderful Halloween, and until next time, my friends, stay safe out there.